All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Impact Entrepreneurs interview. I'm super excited to be here with you. My name is Natalie Cutler-Welsh, and I have the complete honor of interviewing, actually having conscious conversations with a whole bunch of amazing people who are doing amazing things to help in the area of resilience and wellness and mental health and happiness internationally as well as here in New Zealand. So today I'm so excited to welcome Jenny Kennedy. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you for having me here today.
So great that we can meet up finally in person online. So today, you guys, we've chosen a really cool topic that Jenny it's her area of expertise. She's going to share her journey with us. And please have a little sit down. This is a full-on story. A lot of people have been through tough times and come out the other side. And Jenny is definitely one of those people. So I'm excited for her to share her story. And today our topic is your intuition is your compass. All right, Jenny, I'm so excited to do that. So before we dive into that, can you let everybody know a little bit about you, your business healing journey, and what you're up to at the moment?
Okay, thank you, Nat. Well, I'm healed from incurable cancer, which I'll share a bit of my story with you in a moment. And so I have two arms to my business. I work with people who are going through the cancer journey and take radical remission workshops, which is the work that's researched by Dr. Kelly Turner in the States. She was given a grant by the American Cancer Society to spend 12 months researching people who'd had radical remissions. So those are people who the medical profession had given up on. And she uncovered 9 key factors. So I teach that along with my good friend Justine Laidlaw in the radical remission workshops. And the other arm to my business is teaching particularly women to recognize what's going on with themselves and these blocks that they have in their bodies that's stopping them to live to their full potential. So if I'd had the knowledge that I had now, then I wouldn't have got it back then. But unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way. And as you said, I got through it because it's 6.5 years now since my diagnosis.
So let's hear a little bit more about your journey. So this is amazing. You've got to the point where you've come through and you're helping other people and you're teaching them some things that you wish you'd known, which is amazing. Can you take us back a little further into your backstory and what other messages do you have for people? What else was part of your experience?
Well, my first brush or challenge with my health was actually I burnt out in the corporate world. I was a legal executive and, doing multi-million-dollar transactions. And I'm an overachiever. That's my background. And so the better I was, the more work I got. And I got to the point where I was worrying all night long to have to get it perfect till eventually my body gave out. So that was about 10 years before my cancer diagnosis. So I started on my spiritual journey through that experience, but then I was healthy and well and looked fantastic and was fit and ate good food, and totally out of the blue, I just noticed a lump actually growing in my lower abdominal region. And I went to the doctor and of course got this diagnosis in December 2012, and they told me it was incurable. And as my doctor delivered those words, my body went into absolute shutdown. I couldn't talk. I didn't take in any more that she said. And so then the shock wore off and terror overtook me. And so what I realized was it was just those words, "You have cancer," that had a huge impact on my body. So it got me to start thinking. And it was about 10 days after my diagnosis, sitting in this place of terror with nothing on my mind except I've got cancer. What am I going to do? They tell me they can't heal me. And I woke up really early on the 10th morning, and I don't know if it was a voice in my head or what it was, but it was just a knowing that I was healed. And so my body, all the terror, the fear just completely left. And what I came to understand is quite often, especially as I'm a very intuitive person, when we're faced with a life or death situation, the thinking mind gets out of the road and the intuitive mind becomes way louder. And so that's what happened for me in that near-death situation. The intuitive mind took over. So that was, I have 6 steps to healing, and that was my first step to healing, is just to have that hope. The next step, without going into in too much detail, is to surround yourself with people who also believe in your vision. So anybody that didn't believe I could heal, I had as least amount of contact with them. And of course, I do them the same in my business. You know, I have my hopes and dreams in my business and always surround myself with my tribe who believe I can achieve the same thing. So I got this diagnosis. I didn't know what I was going to do next. So I just went into meditation and I asked my body. And what I was told was, well, Jenny, you look great, you feel great, but you're not listening to your soul. And we're actually, this tumor is growing to bring your intention to say that you're out of alignment with your soul. So, yep, I got that and didn't know what I was going to do next. So I called up a friend and she came and sat with me. And it was through putting out that prayer, because I'm a huge believer in, with all my clients, we always set the intent for what we want to create, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I just put out that intent that show me how to heal. And what actually happened was I was taken back to a past memory where I had been abused and I was being punished for something that I hadn't done. And what I realized was, and of course that allowed a whole flood of emotion to be released, that I'd been living all my life, because I've come from a history of sexual, emotional and physical abuse, that I always thought that I was at fault and I must have done something wrong. So hence the people pleaser. You know, I've got to make sure everybody's well and sorted out and that everything's good with them, and a high achiever, because feeling something was wrong with me, I had to keep doing better and better and better. And so as I had that realization, it's like the whole penny dropped, and I had suppressed all this anger around these abuses, but just kept forging on. And of course, you know, eventually my the body caught up with it. It couldn't keep doing that. And I believe all disease in the body is created through stress. But what I came to understand, and you know, with all the learning and the trainings I've done and the study I've done, that every time we have a suppressed emotion, which I'd done at these abuse, just shut down, we physically store that in our cells. And so as we can access these emotions, then the cell receptors actually open up and the stored emotion is released, and then the body heals and regenerates without holding on to the memory. So it's cellular memory where all of it, any of our blocks in life, whether it's in the area of health, wealth and relationships, that's where it presents itself from the cellular memory. And so also when I was doing my research, and I don't know, Nat, if you've probably heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote Biology of Belief. And he's a cellular biologist. And what he uncovered as he's looking at his petri dish was that it is the perception of a cell, of the environment, that controls a cell. So this is the scientific evidence that I was looking at. So in human terms, that is perception being beliefs. So it's the beliefs around our environment that controls our cells. So the minute that I stepped into believing that I was healed, like when my intuition, that loud voice spoke to me, was the minute my cells started changing to match that belief. But it's the same with anything, isn't it? Whatever we're creating.
Interesting. I often say, just in a business perspective, you know, I don't believe in fake it till you make it, but I do believe in believe until you achieve.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with your wellness. So a couple things here. I'll just jump in. Hello, Charlene on Facebook Live. Awesome to see you. I know it's so great to have Jenny here sharing her story. First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Jenny. This is a
You're
huge
welcome.
story. This is very personal. And thank you for being so open about it, because I know there will be people listening, first of all, that go, oh yeah, like I've been diagnosed with cancer. Or they'll be going, I know somebody. Let's be honest. Everybody probably knows about 5 or more people, really, right? Who have been diagnosed with cancer, and then also probably if we actually knew, probably everyone probably knows 5 people that have been abused as well in their journey, right? Because there's a lot of things we just don't know. And we all know harboring secrets is not great for health either. That's another topic. But what I wanted to do is thank you for being so transparent and raising these, shining the light on these things that are actually, unfortunately, so common, but also acknowledging the link between what happens to us and the emotions and how we store them. I remember someone the other day said, oh, but a lot of that stuff, it happened when you're young, you don't even remember it. It's like, yeah, but it's kind of, I like the word imprinted. You talked about cellular memory. It's imprinted on you. And so if we don't access those, like you said, and release them, they will like eat us alive. So thank you for acknowledging that. There will be some people listening, I want to acknowledge, that are going, this is a load of whatever, I don't believe this. And that's fine. Everyone has their own views. I do think there is a massive link between physical and emotional well-being. So can you carry on with your story, wherever it goes next? And we're going to look at the topic, which is, let's look at like intuition and being guided by that as well. So carry on, back to you.
So the thing is, just going into intuition just before, we all have it, and we all the body is the barometer to the cell. So we all contract when something isn't right, which means we're suppressing the emotion. But going back to what Bruce Lipton said is, it's when we change the belief. So now in the work that I do, which is, it's very, very simple. We don't have to go back like counselling and go back and retell the story, because no way did I want to share. I didn't want to verbalise what I had been through. But when I uncovered the beliefs, and this is what they've now discovered, when we change the belief, which changes the feeling in the body, and of course, law of attraction stuff is attracted to the feeling that we're holding. So the work that I do is changing beliefs for people, and also the feeling that goes with that belief. So it's like my husband said to me when I had this realization that I'd always thought that, I must have done something wrong, that I deserve this, and I've just got to keep trying harder to prove to everybody that I'm okay. And of course, ovarian cancer is held in what we call the second chakra. And as women, ovaries is where we create our life. So being a people pleaser, I didn't actually know what I wanted. I was too busy worrying about what other people wanted. Even say, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? Oh, you choose, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so the minute I uncovered this memory, I actually started to get angry, which is good. And my husband even said to me, oh my gosh, you got cancer and then you got angry. And I thought, yeah, awesome, because I'm now being able to connect when someone's overstepping boundaries, when something doesn't resonate with my truth and what is right for me. So in my healing journey, it was just that one particular process, because I'd had a lot of knowledge before that. But then the learning that came in my everyday life, it would just be where my buttons were pushed each day, that I would look at, okay, so where does that not align with my soul? Where is my intuition telling me that this isn't okay? So it becomes easy. We can do that in our everyday life. We don't have to go and spend lots and lots of money on therapy if we just become aware.
Okay, I love it. I love it so much, because I am definitely a believer in, I'm not a believer in talk therapy, really. I'm not a believer in rehashing the story, and because we're almost like cementing it in, I feel. But I am a believer in changing your beliefs. So I love all this stuff. I think also there'll be people watching that go, oh my God, that's me. I'm a people pleaser. And if I am to be true, the people that I know in my life that have had cancer, but not all of them, Most of them are people pleasers, just saying. And they're the type of personality in Myers-Briggs, whatever, kids version, we call it the retriever, the disease to please, right? Putting everyone else at first, often at the expense of yourself. And when you do that, and they're like, I call them mask wearers, people that are like, hey, yeah, everything's great. Yeah, everything's great. But meanwhile, inside, they're kind of frustrated. And I recently started speaking on my keynote about Up Your Brave, but I talk about how some people live in the disconnected zone. You know, some people live in the should zone and other people live in the frustration zone. I think a lot of people get stuck in that frustration zone where they live in bitter and resentment, but they hide it with a mask. And guess what? It eats away at your health.
Absolutely, it does. And so many people said to me, I can't believe you've got cancer because you're so nice. Because I'd say, yeah, that's why I got it. Yeah.
And I think the key, I don't know, is personally, because you guys know I'm obsessed with this, saying what you want, actually making yourself a priority, giving yourself permission to think, where do I want to go for dinner? Is it Mexican or is it Italian? You might think, oh, it doesn't matter. But the way you do some things, right, is the way you do everything. And so, and so what was the turning point for you when you were like, you know what? I'm actually going to put myself first. Was it the burnout or was it the cancer?
The burnout, it got me on the journey, but I was still putting the mask on. So it wasn't till I got the cancer that I really got real. And, you know, lots had to change in my life. A lot of changing with my relationships. But of course, as I healed and put up my boundaries and wouldn't put up with stuff that I used to put up with, and learned to speak my truth. And that's really, really scary when you first start speaking what is right for you, because I'd been doing it for so long. You know, as I said, I didn't even know what was right for me. But the beauty is, and it's usually the woman that do the healing, if you know, people come to me and say, oh, my husband needs healing. I said, but he won't come. I said, don't worry about it. You do the healing and it rubs off onto everybody around you. And not only that, it changes 7 generations behind you and 7 generations that have come before you. So by one person stepping up and doing the healing, it has a huge flow-on effect to everybody in their lives.
I think that is that is amazing. And now some people will go, actually, maybe it's time. You know, maybe it's time for me to invest. And usually it's too expensive. I don't have time. I'm over it. Everything's fine. But it's like, well, actually, you're going to pay the price, you know, tenfold. So it's interesting. This is interesting for me on so many levels because, number one, my boy has alopecia. So he has no hair. And I went through a lot of sadness over that. Have I healed it? Not really sure. Secondly, we went through 2 massive earthquakes. And have I got, you know, probably PST, have I healed that? Probably not. You know, I mean, I paid thousands of dollars, right, to try to help heal my back and do things like that. But, and that's the other thing, 3 back injuries. And so now I'm going to shift my beliefs as much as I can. Can you close that door, Sugar? Because I'm actually on a call. Okay, great. The whole family here. And the other thing that's fascinating for me is at the moment I've got this cough. If you guys have been watching my interviews, I do this cough quite consistently and it just won't quit. And you know I love the oils and I'm trying, you know, I'm getting rid of it. I think it's because I'm not being true. I got to take my own advice is what I'm saying. I got to up my brave. I got to start saying what I want more, maybe to specific people in my life and let them know nicely, but accurately, the level of disappointment and frustration that I have towards them because I feel like I'm making Dude, I'm on a call. Can you close the door? I'm making excuses for them. You know, oh, but she's busy. Oh, she's going through a hard time. And as a result, though, I'm keeping the frustration and the disappointment in. So what are your comments on that for me as like pretend, you know, you're helping me out as you do in your workshops? What would you say?
Well, what I'm seeing for you intuitively, because I'm an intuitive healer, is it's time for you to actually, because working with the lower chakras is when we are, you know, we're developing when we feel safe and how we are in the world and our relationships. But what I'm picking up for you, and this is in your heart chakra, even though it's affecting the voice, but I think you mentioned the lungs, which is connected to the heart chakra, but it's also because of the earthquake. So when we have trauma in our lives, and let's face it, most of us do, we have a disconnect with whatever you want to call it, the universal energy, the creator, or if we're religious, God. And that's what I'm picking up for you, is that because of that trauma that you went through, you've got a belief that even though you might think it on a conscious level, on an other than conscious level, that God's not really here for you. He's not listening. So you've got to make everything happen rather than opening up and trusting. But also what that is around speaking, because when we speak our truth and we do it from a place of love, it's not necessarily that we're speaking it to that person, but we're just laying it on the table. So if we have an energy behind us, I want them to hear it. This, I've got to say it, got to speak my truth. We're coming from a place of fear. And the only thing that heals anything is love. So it's really important to express everything that we're saying from a place of love, and just imagining that, okay, I'm just putting this out to the universe. So let's go to, say it's something you want in business. Say you want to step out more in business and you approach somebody to partner up or whatever. What you're doing is finding that voice and laying it on the table to the universe. Now, if that person says, no, don't want to do it, a lot of us will shut down, go, oh, okay, that didn't work. Oh, I'm not good enough. And they'll go to all of that. But however, we always know that the universe has got our back. The universe is always working for us. So we've used that voice to step out of that place of fear and know that then the next person may be the right person. So it's all part of that learning. So as you have that trust in the universe, that you can actually, that the universe is supporting you, and will you can express your feelings, because I do see you suffering a little bit of PTSD, which of course the children will be experiencing as well. And it's just about coming from, the universe won't hear me, so who else will hear me? So I just sit with this irritation. Does that kind of resonate?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think also I'm happy to be open about these things. I think also what I'm hoping is that other people listening who have had something happen a while ago, right? Xavier, the first guy that went across, my youngest, as I used to call him, I try not to, my earthquake baby was born the day after in the Christchurch earthquake in February. And I fell to the ground and I crawled along the ground to rescue Jonah in the garage, and everything was falling down upon him and whatever. But then Xavier was born. And so he is, so it was 8 years ago is what my point is. So what you're saying is, that's imprinted, right? You carry that with you unless you go in and release it from the cellular memory.
It doesn't matter how long ago it is, and even if it's in this life or a previous life, if you're open to that. So if I just share, when the memory that I did actually uncover was, because I'm very, very intuitive, and I asked to be shown this memory, and what it was I was being held in a dungeon back in Switzerland. And if anybody listening isn't too open to past lives, just bear with me for a moment. And I had 3 understudies with me, and we were all being held, about to be burnt at the stake, because I was doing in that lifetime what I'm doing in this lifetime. But of course I lost my life in that lifetime, but also I felt responsible for these others, because I was teaching them my craft. And so of course that really affected my ability to step out in my business. So when I saw that memory, so that's all I had to do was see the memory and uncover those beliefs. It had a huge change with my business. And also I knew that in this lifetime I was to heal that that I knew I wasn't going to lose my life in this lifetime, that I was going to go on and do much greater things, sharing my wisdom. So that's, for me, it was really, really important that I uncovered that memory. But if people aren't into past lives, then it's a process I call led to the root cause of whatever you're facing. If they're not into that, then they won't get shown it. They will just get shown what's most relevant for their healing.
Oh, so fascinating, isn't it? I think also, you know, what you said earlier about being the good girl, and it must have been something you did, it must be your fault. Other people will also relate to that, and so, but they'll have a different story, right? They'll have a different thing, but it's the same kind of, it's the same kind of belief.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears just a little bit. Let's talk about, I know recently you did a workshop and you're helping people to work through some of the stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And what does that look like? I mean, if someone is going to work through, you know, and let go of these beliefs, is it something that takes a whole year? Can you do it in 5 minutes? Like, what does it look like?
So the workshop I did at the weekend was called Healing the Chakras.
Right.
And so chakras are just energies, the 7 main energy centers in the body. And it's from year 1 to 7. So when actually from when we're conceived to 7 years of age, we're developing our sense of safety, and where we fit into the family in this lifetime. So, for example, if we've had trauma at that age, then we will have taken up beliefs. So in the workshop, I go through how to recognize if your chakra, that base chakra's out of balance, and if you've had trauma experienced at that age from 0 to 7, and how that may be affecting you physically or in an emotional or physiological way. It can be, you know, affect the legs physically. And so if people have pain in their legs or something like that, then we can look at that. So we're uncovering the beliefs as we go through all of the chakras. And I do it through sharing my own personal story, because then people can get it and relate it to themselves. And so by the end of the day, we've got all these beliefs that we've uncovered that we need to change. And then I teach a really, really simple technique of connecting with the universal energy and being able to change the belief. And as I said before, change the feeling that goes with that belief. And so then people have got a tool then for life that they can use without having to do any other workshop. They've got this information and can use it for themselves and for others. So that's the sort of work that I do with women who are growing their businesses or want to improve their relationships, or physical, because let's face it, usually as we're growing our businesses, we may have a few aches and pains or even an old injury. That it all has an original cause, no matter what's going on.
I think that, yes, sorry, I was going to say, I think it's so great because I've seen other techniques before where they get you to think of 3 things that happened at this age and that age and the other age, and then you think of the story. But then often I would be left going, well, what do I do with that? Like what? Like, and you leave people vulnerable and open. So what I'd like to see is that we actually can get some, not answers, but some releasing is probably a better word. Xavier, close the door, please, honey. Xavier, close that door. Is that they can, at the workshop or in some sort of session, get some releasing. So yeah, that I think rather than opening, retelling the story and then feeling even more vulnerable.
We don't need to. It's re-traumatizing if we retell the story. We don't need to do that. Yeah. And now, you know, as I talked about the scientific evidence, change the belief. It releases the suppressed emotions, and then the healing happens in all areas of the life of our life. And the thing was, the participants in the workshop at the weekend, that's what they said. Oh my God, we feel it. This is amazing. It's so simple, but they could feel the shift in the body, because as we release that belief that we no longer serve us, we're changing the energy blocks, you know, that's in our prana or our chi. And so you do feel that shift that's happening. So yeah, I got some amazing feedback from the
That is
workshop
so
the
good.
week.
That is so good. Hey, what I'll do now, because I'll give you an opportunity. Where can people follow you? So if they want to find out more, they want to find you on social media or get in touch, how can they find you?
So my website is www.jennykennedy.co.nz, and yep, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, so they can find that through my website or just search me, in the wee search bar. See the workshops that I've got coming up, and not this weekend, but next weekend, we've got our 2-day radical remission for people who are going through the cancer journey workshop being held here in Tauranga. I'm based in Tauranga, but I work worldwide.
Thank you. That's awesome. So that's how people can get in touch with you. So you guys watching, so this series that I'm doing right now, we're doing season 2. In season 1, we talked about mental health and happiness. We focused on that. Obviously, it's a massive, massive topic. Oh, I love the sequins on my wall. Look at that. Backing up because it's so sunny. And in my season 2, we're focusing on resilience and wellness. And obviously those things overlap greatly. So and you probably agree that I think if people, in order to be resilient, whether it's business, their life, their relationship, and also to be healthy and well, they do need to look in the mirror, look at their life, and process. The other day when I Charlene, who's watching, we did a session together. We did an interview, Impact Entrepreneurs. We talked about boundaries, and so some of this stuff, it's so many interesting overlapping topics, is like, but you do, I think, have to look at your past. What did you call it? Like traumatic events, whether they feel like a big deal or not. Some of the traumatic events aren't really that traumatic, but they were to you. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And every child has a different perception about, how they see things or how they experience it. And those of us, I'm sure a lot of people that follow you, Nat, are the sensitive, intuitive types. And those of us, we feel the pain and we feel the other pain. So in my childhood, where there was violence in the family, it was just as horrific for me watching my brother get beaten as it was when I was, so that's a double dose of that trauma. Yeah. And some of us have even suppressed it, but as I go through the different chakras and we see where it's showing up, we don't actually have to remember. We just see now what we're doing. And look, I'd just love to say, if people want to know, how do I do this? How do I look at it? And the thing is, everybody is our mirror. So as someone pushes our buttons, then that's something we need to heal. And as you were talking about, if I can share that, is people in your life are irritating, well, then your body's telling you, your intuition's telling you. Yeah. That's something I need to heal.
Interesting. Yeah, so good. So thank you, because some people would say, well, how do I know? You know that when you get triggered, I think there's the T word, when you get triggered, you either get really upset or frustrated or something. Thank you. And I think it's so important the way you highlighted, if someone's watching and they go, I really think it's time for me to deal with my past, you don't have to trudge through it again. You don't have to drag it up. So I think that's super, super important. And when you guys, if you like this episode, make sure you check out my interview with Anne Cullen, where we talk about connection-centered parenting. Now, she's focusing mainly on those really early years, but it's similar stuff where sometimes you carry this with you your whole life. And if you don't process it or get somebody to help you process it, it will trickle down to your children and carry on and carry on. So thank you, Jenny, for sharing your story with us today, definitely, but also shedding some light on this area that for some people will be a little bit interesting, talking about the chakras and the universe. I love it. I'm open to it. I feel like there's always more to learn. And so this has been just fascinating. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to share? And I would also love to ask you if you'd like to do a shout out or shine the light on a certain charity or organization as well.
Well, of course, for me, it's the Cancer Society, and more so rather than money, for research, but the Cancer Society were amazing support for me. They provided counselling, they provided massages for me, they offered grocery vouchers and things like that, which we were in an okay financial position, so we didn't need that, because it's when you first get diagnosed, it's jolly scary. And because my husband had to stop work because I was so ill, But the thing that that people are listening is to never underestimate the ability that you have to heal in all areas of your life. As we talked about the intent, put out that intent, and then you will be totally supported to reach your goals.
That's beautiful. And thank you for being a beacon of hope for many people, because I think some people this will be the message that they really need to hear at this point. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching on the Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us on the Zoom. If you are listening, we would love to hear your thoughts. You can comment below. Even if you've got questions, I'll revisit. I'll tag Jenny. She can come back and answer some questions for you. And of course, get in touch with her directly if you want. And be sure to check out my whole series. There's probably about 10 episodes at the moment. And they're designed to help. So please tag anyone who could do with hearing this message today. If there's anyone in your life, that's all we want to do. We just want to spread the word, get people to think differently, and encourage them to believe, that anything is possible. Thank you so much, Jenny.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.